Yeah, no, they wouldn't.
Evening, everybody. Call to order, Town of Grand Bay-Westfield Planning Advisory Committee would like to call to order the meeting of Monday, May.
June 5th.
Yeah, June 5th, I'm way back. Let's make first. All right. I guess there's a misprint. Call to order, read, the Town of Grand Bay Planning Advisory Committee would like to call to order the meeting of Monday, June the 5th, 2023. Land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that Grand Bay-Westfield exists on traditional Woolastook Way land. The lands of the Wabanaki people are recognized in a series of peace and friendship treaties to establish an ongoing relationship of peace, friendship, and mutual respect between equal nations. The river that runs by our town is known as Woolastook, along which the Woolastookie, the people of the beautiful and bountiful river. We, the staff and elected representatives, pay respect to the elders past and present and descendants of this land. Item 2, record of attendance. Let the record reflect full attendance for tonight's meeting. Item 3, minutes of previous PAC meeting. Can I have a motion to accept as presented the PAC meeting minutes of May 1st, 2023?
So moved.
Seconded?
Second.
Motion carried. Minutes of previous council, regular council meetings of April 24th, 2023 and May 8th, 2023. Can I have a motion to receive and file the regular council meeting minutes of April 24th, 2023 and May 8th, 2023?
So moved.
Seconded by? Motion carried. Item 5 is Chairman's comments. I would like to welcome Daryl Short as our new committee member. Welcome aboard. Item 6 is declaration of conflict of interest. Please note that the Local Governance Act requires that conflict of interest be recognized. The Act identifies members of the local board who are required to declare a conflict, and when a conflict must be declared, a form must be filled out upon assuming office, and when any conflict may arise while in office. Can I have a motion to receive and file the Development Officer's Memo of May 17th, 2023, and Conflict of Interest Provisions, Local Government Act?
So moved.
Seconded by?
Second.
Second? Motion carried. Building permit reports. Can I have a motion to receive and file the building permit report for May 2023?
So moved.
Seconder?
Second.
Motion carried. Item 8, Land Advisory Committee Summer Schedule 2023 and Development Officer Memorandum of May 17th, 2023. Can I have a motion to adopt the summer meeting schedule by canceling the regular scheduled meeting of July 3rd, 2023, noting that a special meeting may be called where quorum can be confirmed if required?
So moved.
Seconder?
Second.
Motion carried. Item 9, municipal bylaw and zoning bylaw review presented by Gilbert Consulting. So, Jennifer, you're on.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, PAC, for having me. I think this might be the first time I've been here this year. Yeah. I feel like I saw you every month of last year, but happy to be here again. I'm joined by my colleague Tim this evening, who'll be taking notes. So if you do have any questions, I've got an extra note taker. I don't have to rely on my own memory. It's a nice treat. So this evening, I'm going to give you an overview of the municipal plan amendments, zoning bylaw amendments that are required as per local governance reform to amalgamate the new boundary of Grand Bay-Westfield into one development framework, development policy framework. To give you just an overview of the process so far, February and March, we did a bit of background, data collection, we did an online survey. Pretty high numbers on the online survey, upwards of nearly 600 responses of that community feedback online survey. We met with staff to formulate these amendments. We moved on to the second phase, which in February or in March. This was a let's get this kind of what we heard piece out to the public, go out in-person open houses, understand what folks are asking for, what they want, and drafting those amendments. April through June, finalizing municipal plan amendments, starting the process there, getting ready for the zoning bylaw amendments, starting the process there. We are now kind of at the tail end of the legislative process, and that's why I'm here this evening. So, municipal plan amendments, we're like, what I'm trying to convey here is we're right at the tail end, that phase 3 piece. We're looking for council PAC's recommendation this evening on your draft municipal plan amendments, draft zoning bylaw amendments. The biggest changes you're going to see are obviously in the maps, but there are a couple of amendments that facilitate the maps changing, but also kind of some housekeeping amendments that were identified either by the community or staff about kind of pain points in that document, providing an update there. So, we've gone through all of these legislative steps. We're sitting at PAC review and recommendation this evening. Public hearing is next Monday at council on June 12th. Then we'll have, if everything goes well, first and second reading that evening, with third reading in the subsequent meeting. All right, to get into the amendments, I'll give you a quick overview. In terms of the municipal plan amendments, we're looking at essentially repealing and replacing the future land use map to accommodate the new Ward 2. We're looking at the Ward 2 area essentially being, do I have a laser pointer on this? I do, but I don't think you can see it. Anyway, you've got it in the package there, but we're accommodating Ward 2 being rolled into the future land use map. Future land use map is a very generalized map. We're talking about what is generally permitted in terms of land use in these areas. We know that the area that forms Ward 2 is primarily a rural residential type development pattern, and that is what continues to be facilitated through policy. The policy also allows for some wiggle room there. We know that there are other things happening in this area. Our marching orders from the community was to essentially say, what's there is there. There's no incentive for us to change anything. We're just planning for what's coming in the future. This essentially just reiterates what I just said in terms of that rural residential piece. We really want to meet what's existing while allowing for that anticipated future development to happen. Second amendment in the municipal plan is really about a description of the boundary change process. So we have this foundational document, but we want to acknowledge in the document that things have changed. That's where this comes in. The third amendment we're looking at is an addition of engagement results. So we want future folks who are cracking open the municipal plan to understand that we did go out to the community as part of this process, and we incorporated some of those key points that people were very vocal about. Those key interest points were housing affordability and accessibility being really the main drivers here of policy change. Access to employment opportunities and maintaining rural character were also something that we heard a lot about. Not a huge amount of push from a policy directive on economic development right now in the municipal plan, but you are looking at a regional structure for economic development that it really considers you as part of their strategy, and that's Envision St. John. Maintaining rural character, that's quite baked right into your policies already, but the housing piece and housing affordability wasn't. So here you see a list of the additional affordable housing policies that were added to your municipal plan as part of this process. Now we'll get into the zoning bylaw amendments, repeal and replace the zoning map, just like we did with the future land use map. We're also repealing and replacing the flood overlay zone map. Again, just to incorporate that new area, Ward 2. Here's your draft zoning map. The flood overlay zone, a little bit hard to see in the image here, but what you're seeing is the best available data of any wetland or watercourse represented on this map. We proposed, I'd say about a year ago or so, maybe 2 years now, to implement a flood overlay zone, which essentially says whatever is underlying prescribes what you can do in terms of use. The overlay zone essentially lays on top and says any development in these areas we know is at some sort of risk to flood impacts. So we require minimum built elevation wherever that overlay lays. That would be in addition to your typical wall permit, but that minimum built elevation for a habitable space is really the best practice that we have in New Brunswick right now. Moving on to some additional amendments here, agricultural use definition, where you'll see throughout the zoning bylaw that we're removing reference to animal uses essentially, because we're looking to now, through the animal control bylaw, regulate how animals are kept within the municipality. Update to the main building definition. We're really trying to clean up some of the pain points that happen here with defining what a main building is, what a principal use is, rather than using those terms interchangeably, providing some clear direction there. Amendment 5, licensed premises. This came up a couple times because of the confusion between licensed premises revolving around alcohol and then cannabis use. At the time the zoning bylaw was last updated, the province had just released their guidelines on cannabis. There wasn't enough detail for us to be specific as to who we're pointing to, what act we're pointing to, so we cleaned all of that up to decouple alcohol versus cannabis sales. They're controlled under different acts. We wanted to make sure that was regulated appropriately. Keeping of chickens, this is, you're gonna see two kind of sections here. So we have keeping of chickens removed from that section 512, again, moved to animal control. David Taylor, your development officer, caught some additional chicken language as part of the secondary review, and we've subsequently removed that as permitted uses. Number 7 here, conversions, so we're essentially updating to remove additional parking requirements for a change of use. This is a way for us to kind of do a bit of red tape reduction. So easiest example is if you are in a commercial building and you leave and somebody comes in place with you, the use may change, but we're not gonna say, on a building that's already existing, we're not coming in and asking you to put more parking spaces in. If you've been there and the use is essentially similar, we're not interested in you acquiring more land to provide more parking. So no new use in an existing building equals no new parking. Amendment 8, animals in residential zones, again deleted for that animal control bylaw. So the other kind of set of amendments here are moving home occupations and moving garden suites and secondary suites, moving them from conditional uses up to permitted uses. Again, a bit of red tape reduction here. We're looking at trying to get more housing units on the market and making other innocuous uses a bit more easy to do. We understand, if the pandemic taught us anything, you can work from home in a way that is not gonna disrupt your neighbor. So we have a process to essentially allow for those straightforward uses to continue to be permitted in all residential zones. In terms of the multiple residential zone, that home occupation used to be conditional, we've moved it up to permitted. Central commercial, permit cannabis retail, where it should be. Highway commercial zone is not currently applied anywhere, but if somebody did come in and want to do like a mixed use type development, we wanted to make sure to clean this up and make it equitable throughout the municipality. Highway commercial zone, again, a little bit of red tape reduction here by increasing your maximum height from 9 to 11 meters. That's in line with what we believe your fire department can handle. Mixed use zone, same thing, from 9 to 11 meters. Light industrial zone had in the last iteration, no height prescribed. We're proposing that they can go up to 11 meters through this set of amendments. And your institutional zone, there was a bit of kind of mismatched regulation. So there was a caveat that allowed aspires, belfries, etc. to be higher, and then there was this determination of what the main building height was. We essentially exempted those antenna and steeple type structures out of the height and said that you're at 11 meters max. Just again, this is about additional clarity in regulation. So I mentioned this earlier, but new amendments since council process was initiated. It's that chicken language, we're taking that out. So in your package, amendments 11, 13, and 16 in the zoning bylaw amendment list, those are additional amendments that council has not seen, but we're asking you to refer forward or make recommendations forward to council. So, overview of amendments. Next is next steps and timeline. Again, we're at the real tail end of this. We're at June 5th at PAC. Looking at June 12th for public hearing and fingers crossed, first and second reading, and then third reading at the subsequent council meeting, which we're targeting for July. The provincial system of registration has changed a little bit, but we're prepared for it. David and I are ready to go. This is just a matter of making sure this gets through council process. We've followed all the legislative steps up to this point. And so now we're just making sure that feedback is gathered through PAC, feedback is gathered through the public hearing, and through the community. The community has essentially right up until the public hearing to provide feedback on these amendments. And then we'll incorporate that feedback from yourselves, from council, from the public, into the draft that goes to third reading. That's it for me. Any questions? I'm happy to answer.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, happy.
So the purpose of coming to PAC for our recommendation, is there a reason that happens before the public hearing? Because we don't have any of the context. You know, we get our package a few days ago. We read the amendments, everything makes sense, you're explaining it all makes sense. I couldn't for the life of me understand why chickens was so important, but it was throughout the document. But with no context, right? I didn't know why we were making these changes. I don't know what objections there are in the community. So for us to make a recommendation feels a little uninformed.
Mm-hmm. So I can speak to that a bit. So in theory, in your package, you should have received the What We Heard report and the past materials provided to council. If that wasn't provided, bit of an oversight on our part. I think that in terms of information that this is a public meeting, public process. So the point of it going to PAC before a public hearing is generally like a test. So what we typically are looking for is for you to receive and review any feedback that we've received up until this point. We haven't received any, so there's nothing to provide you.
Oh, you haven't received any feedback?
No. not from, so we received feedback through the engagement process, but what happens once council at their last meeting refers to you, they also advertise the public hearing. Any materials that we receive from the public from that advertisement until essentially today is provided to you as part of this package. And then any materials subsequently received go to public hearing as well. So in this case, we have nothing to give you because we've heard nothing. Now, this could be because of several reasons. One, perhaps we got this exactly right. That's not why. Folks tend to not be super interested in this process until it becomes enacted because that's when all the heat comes. So usually first blush is tonight. They'll hear more about it through council process, public hearing on Monday. Then generally we get a lot of feedback at that time. We'll do the updates. Council has the option to say after the public hearing, we really didn't get this right, we gotta go back to the drawing table. They can pump the brakes, they don't have to do first and second reading. They actually don't even need to close the public hearing if they wanna keep it open. They can refer the public hearing to the next meeting, They really have a lot of options to make sure the public has their say. I think in this particular case, we're not looking at a huge amount of structural changes to the existing document because the area that is Ward 2, it really is a pretty unified development pattern, so it fits quite nicely into the existing structure, so we're not seeing a bunch of big structural changes. But I do think, so, you know, yes, it feels like you don't have perhaps enough information. Maybe I think moving forward, it would be helpful to give you what council has been receiving up to that point, and then clarify in the development officer's report whether or not we've heard anything from the public. Generally, I think most development officers, if we haven't heard anything, we generally don't say anything. But I think in this case, just to make sure the process is clear, that we'll, moving forward, let you know.
Yeah, even just some information about the catalyst for the changes, right? I mean, obviously, the adding Ward 2 makes perfect sense,
Right.
but in terms of I didn't understand the chickens, you know, like,
Right.
I mean, I knew you were going to explain it to us, but
Right.
I just think that it would have been helpful to have what we heard or what we learned or whatever that was, that would have been useful.
Yeah, I think that's great feedback, especially for David and I both to carry forward in the future.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Any more questions for Jennifer?
I will say, Mr. Chair, we do have members of the public here who are able to speak on, if they have any feedback, we're really happy to record that feedback as well. Next step.
I have another question. Can you go back a couple slides?
Oh, absolutely.
I can't remember which,
Process?
no, keep going. Okay, so amendment 19, that is,
They may not line up because of the fact that we
no,
have new chicken.
no, it's not that one, it's the, an amendment to section 11.1.2, so it's 11 to 15, it's 11, you had it as 11 to 15 on there. I forget which
zone is
go one more.
That is-
That one,
21.
so amendment 21 for institutional zone.
Yep.
So it does talk about a religious institution main building cannot exceed in height 15 meters.
Right, so we're bringing it down
Okay.
to 11, because in that definition, it talked about the height of the steeple. So it's just providing it, if you're 11 meters, we know that your fire department can handle it with the equipment they have.
Okay.
Anything beyond that would require additional protections like sprinklering or mutual aid agreement with St. John, which you do have, but this extra layer of protection, anything beyond that. The language was a bit confusing, essentially saying like if you've got an 11-meter structure, you can only have a steeple or something that is so high. Steeples can be high. If they want to be high, it's not going to impact it's not going to impact the safety of the building in the same way that the main structure will be impacted.
So does that mean that the building can be 11 meters high?
The building can
And
be
then-
11,
and
and
then
then
the
the steeple, or if it's
Incremental, okay,
yeah. So if the steeple on top of it is
sorry.
no, it's okay. If the steeple is another 6 meters, previously that would be a problem. What we're saying is it's not a problem.
And actually, I think this package.
Yeah.
So that is on here, but it doesn't actually say it's exempted, so as you're talking, I'm reading through here and I missed that, sorry.
Oh, no problem.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, anybody in the gallery have a question for Jennifer? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, with that, we'll move on to item, we need a motion. Can I have a motion to move that the Planning Advisory Committee recommend to Council the adoption of the proposed bylaw number PD-008 Municipal Plan Bylaw Amendments and PD-009 Zoning Bylaw Amendments as proposed to Council dated May 8, 2023, with the following additional amendments. Additional to Amendment 11 to remove Section 8.2.1.2, conditional uses, 7. Keeping of chickens, subject to Section 5.12. Addition to amendment 13 to remove section 8.2.2.2, conditional uses, bracket F, keeping of chickens, subject to section 5.12. Addition to amendment 16 to remove section 8.2.51, permitted uses, 3. Keeping of chickens, subject to section 5.12. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Seconded by? Questions on the motion? All those in favor? Motion carried. We'll move on to item number 10. Variance application, 20 Majestic Drive, PID number 3070403. Is there anyone here that would like to speak in favor of the application? If so, come up to the podium, state your name and your address, please.
My name is Ken Shepard. My address is 20 Majestic Drive.
And just go ahead and tell us.
Well, I'm just trying to put in a small plastic shed. It's about 100 square feet. That's just gonna house like a lawn tractor, trailer, some generators, 3 sets of tires, just stuff that I wanna get out of my garage so that my wife can actually park in there.
Okay, that's it?
That's it.
Okay, anybody else? Thank you, Ken. Is there anybody else who wants to speak in favor of the application? I have to ask you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak in favor of the application? If not, is there anybody that wants to speak in opposition of the application? Anybody would like to speak in opposition of the application? And again, the third time, is there anybody like to speak in opposition of the application? Alrighty. Can I have a motion to move that the Planning Advisory Committee grant approval of the following variance to the Bay-Westfield bylaw number 122 for the development of a second auxiliary building no larger than 9.3 meters square, 100 square feet, to be located at the rear of the driveway as indicated on site plan at 20 Majestic Drive, PID number 300740403. A, grant a variance of 7.88 meters square to increase the minimum footprint of the accessory structures from 75 meters square to 82.88 meters square. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll move that.
Seconded by?
I'll second.
Questions on the motion?
No question, but just a comment. Your PID, when you were reading it off, you said 2 4s instead of 1, but I'm sure Heather has the right
Discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. You'll be talking to David. You're good to go.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good night.
Item 11, additional use application 360 Highland Road West, PID number 3020297. Is there anyone present to speak on behalf of the application? If so, please step up to the podium and state your name, address, and purpose of your application.
Hi, my name's Antonia Graham, and I reside at 161 Campbell Road, but I'm looking to build a house at 360 Highland Road.
And that's it. I'm gonna open up the floor to these people to see if they have any questions for you.
Well, I'm looking to build a house for me and my husband and for our 2 children. Yeah, and I think that's about it.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? No? Okay. Anybody else want to speak in favor of the application? I have to do this 3 times again. And anybody like to speak in favor of the application? If not, we'll open the floor to anybody that may have some opposition to the application. Anybody in opposition of the application? Gee, you're getting off easy. Anybody want to speak in opposition of the application? If not, can I have a motion that the planning advisory committee grant approval of the proposed one unit dwelling as being permitted as conditional use under the town of Bay-Westfield zoning bylaw number 122 to be located as submitted site plan at 360 Highland Road, PID number 30202097. Can I have a motion, please?
I so move.
Second it?
Second.
Discussion on the motion? None? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you guys.
Congratulations.
Beautiful home.
Thank you.
All right, number 12 is subdivision application 30 Valley View Road, PID number 30013981. Is there anyone present to speak on behalf of the application? If so, please step forward to the podium and state your name, address, and purpose of your application. Everybody like? Okay. Okay, is there anybody who would like to speak in favor of the application? Is there anybody that would like to speak in opposition of the application? No? Anybody like to speak in opposition of the application? All right. Is there, okay. Can I have a motion to move that the planning advisory committee recommend the council to accept 1.94.4 meters square as land for public purposes to be applied to the existing Valley View Estates land bank located off of Edgemont Drive for the creation of one new building lot out of 300139181 on Valley View Drive with approval of the final subdivision plan by the development office to be subject to recording the new civic address as 26 Valley View Drive. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second it?
Second.
Discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item 13, can I have a motion to adjourn? Second? Motion carried. Thank you, everyone. Oh, what do you think?
Guys, wow, really